Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Professor Sistrunk, and I'm reaching out to you again with another lab. This lab is 2.2.1.11, and we're talking about PowerShell. Yes, PowerShell. Now, I want to start off by letting you know that this will not be a deep dive into PowerShell. We just basically going to do a few commands, but these commands that we do are building you up for the next coming commands, the next thing that you will learn in PowerShell. Remember, we will be using a lot of tools, and here is your second primary tool, which is PowerShell. PowerShell is a scripting language. It is used to automate all of your processes. So it's important that you learn this scripting command language. Now, most important, we're going to start you off with just a few commands and we're going to build up. But these commands are super important. You must remember these commands because they will be building on other commands as we walk through this. Another thing I want to say is you won't see my face that much when I'm doing these particular labs because I want to roll them out and I do not want to distract you. I want you to stay focused on what I'm presenting to you. So without holding us up, let's go ahead and do a dive on into PowerShell. And just remember, from the description you see up there, we will be using a Windows PC, as you can see. We will be using some of the commandlets commands, not a lot, just a few to get you started. So don't have a breakdown. You can handle it. And I know you went through this lab already. I just want to point out the particulars so you know these commands you must remember. In some of the commands, I'm going to do a little bit explaining them, but we're not going to hype too much into them because they really self-evident. You really can understand them really easy. So let us move on. So the first thing I want you to take away from this, it is another tool that you have to utilize when you work in the CyberOps world. So this is another tool. And yes, you'll have to learn PowerShell. We will be offering classes in PowerShell coming up, and it will take you from the intermediate level all the way to the advanced level. But this is just another look at a tool that you'll be using. So you can see here that, like I said earlier, PowerShell is just an automation scripting tool. I'm going to move this out the way. Now, how do I get to PowerShell? Well, if I'm using a Windows PC, whether it's a PC or a server, you can just come down here in the search and type in a few characters and you'll see PowerShell. Now, there are different versions in PowerShell for different players in the game. You know that the real high-level individuals, they use the administrative PowerShell, but they even got a higher version. And we'll talk about the different versions as we go on. Right now, we just want to get you down with the basics of PowerShell. The and when I say basic, I'm talking about really simple commands, really simple commands. So you can just say open it up. Now, the difference between PowerShell and what we call the DOS command environment is that you can tell the difference by the color of the background. PowerShell backgrounds will be blue. Command prompt backgrounds, or what we used to call back in the day the DOS command prompt, it will be black. And yes, back in the day we used to do a lot of things on our PC using the DOS command because everything was command orientated in the beginning. I'm talking like I'm 4,000 years old. But now we got this graphical user interface. So let's just talk a little bit about why would a person use PowerShell? Well, when you use a graphical user interface, it puts a lot of stress on your systems. You don't know it when you're using Windows 10. You don't see it because you are actually using a PC. But when you're running a bunch of different servers and you got all of them utilizing graphical user interfaces to connect, that puts a lot of stress on your machines. And it takes up a lot of valuable resources. You do not want to do that. So most of the elite in the field, and I use the term elite meaning they got 10 plus years of doing PowerShell. And I'm not talking about 10 plus years of working in the field. Anybody can work in the field, but I'm talking about utilizing PowerShell. These people are really, really good, and they don't even load the graphical user interface onto their systems. So you'll go into a system and you will notice that this is when you turn it on, you'll notice this is what you see. And you'll be like, where's the graphical user interface? I need to be able to do my work. Yes, one time I panicked like that. I'm like, what's going on? But the requirement of the job was that I knew something about PowerShell. Now, the good thing about it is when you go through a class in PowerShell and you rarely use it, when you actually get to a place where they use this type of command access, then you'll really quickly get your skills up. You'll do like I did. Go get a book and just start getting your skills back in play so you can go in there and do your work. So it's a shocker. I mean, it's really a shocker when you see this. I know you guys are not seeing my face and you're probably like, well, I hear your voice, Professor, but I just wanted you to focus on the screen. Now, here are a few commands I want you to write down. But back to the story of why people use PowerShell is that it takes a lot of stress. So if you ever see a test question, why would someone use PowerShell? Less stress on your systems. It will, a graphical user interface will take up so many resources. And you really do not want that to happen. Now this video log is going to be short, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So the first command that you know so well is dir. That just brings up the directory. If you look at your dir, you see a host of files or applications that you have on here that's in file folders. You see the times, and you also see the dates when they was given. But these over here, these are security protocols that allow a person to have access to those files. In this case, I have access to everything. The next thing that you use is ping. This is a command that I know you already know. I'm going to use the loopback IP address so I can just show you what that particular, what ping would do. Really simple. You already know this. It just goes out and search and make sure that your particular PC is connected to what we call the internet. And then you have the CD. Now, the CD right here, in and of itself, it really do not do anything if you just type it in like that. But if you put a few things behind it, like ... it will change the directory that you're in. So we use that. I know you know these commands, but I'm just stressing them because remember, we're going to put a lot of commands on. These commands you're looking at now, we typically call these DOS commands. And if I type this in here, which is ipconfig, you know what that will do. That will give me all of my network connectivity. So I'm not going to hit enter on that because this is going to be in YouTube, and I don't want everybody to see what's on my system. They might try to hack me. Let's hack them. And that's what this class is all about. But now, with PowerShell, we use verb setup commands. So here's a command that you will see in the world of using PowerShell. When you really start using PowerShell, you will see these type of alias commands, and this will show any hidden directories that's out there that you may not see in the normal directory. Remember, these files you see here are not all the files I have on my system. I have a lot of files hidden on my system. And that's what that particular directory doing. And you're going to get to utilize the next start command. And you will see that this command here has quite a few commands that you can use with it to do a real deep exploration on your command. Now, to keep this video really short, I'm going to put in one more command that you know all too well, clear recycle bin command. Remember, I said we just introducing you to a real short version. Now, I'm not going to hit enter on that either, because if I hit enter on that, guess what's going to happen? My entire recycle bin will be empty or cleared out. And at this particular point, I don't want that to happen. So, with that being said, that's just a brief introduction of PowerShell. Remember those commands, because in that lab that you're doing, we are going to build on these commands. Okay, that's Professor Sistrunk. I am signing off, and we will begin to go more and more into other labs. Have a nice day.